We all need gis, rash guards, and a bunch of gear to train jiu-jitsu. Here at RŌL Academy, we've been using Fuji Sports for a very, very long time, but more importantly, they've been sponsoring the RŌL Radio podcast for over a year at this point. Gary?
Yeah, I'm checking out the website right now. Anything you could possibly need, but the new stuff, this American Grappler stuff, is amazing. It's so slick looking. Rash guard shorts, really cool giant eagle on it. It is nice. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, they've got the Be a Menace Happy Nogi lineup. So as you're getting choked out, you're looking up at the nice smiley face emoji. Anything you could possibly need, you can find at fujisports.com.
You have questions, I have answers. I started a brand new podcast just recently that's available on all podcast platforms and YouTube. It's called Ask a Black Belt. Very simple. You drop me questions, I answer them. Very simple. 5-6 minutes. Gary, have you heard it?
I have heard it, and I really appreciate it. How do those questions get to you?
Well, listen, you can message me on Instagram. That's probably the easiest way to get in touch with me. But you can also comment on any post that I make, and I try to genuinely answer the questions as fast as I can, and they get posted 3 times a week as it is right now.
Beautiful. Ask a Black Belt. Check it out on your favorite podcast platform. Hey, everyone, and welcome back. Please don't forget to hit the like, share, download, listen, and whatever other button there is, and leave us a review wherever you do listen. This ensures that we can continue bringing you the amazing content and great guests like we have for you today. On this episode, Thomas Lisboa discusses being a new father, the early reputation of jiu-jitsu in Brazil, how jiu-jitsu can make a person into a fighter on and off the mats, how the technical aspect of jiu-jitsu is what makes it so much fun, and what it's like coming up and receiving his black belt from the legend, Master Fabio The General Gurgel. Here's the RŌL Radio with former world champion, former instructor at Marcello Garcia Academy, and the current head instructor at Alliance Jiu Jitsu Vancouver, Thomas Lisboa.
Welcome to RŌL Radio.
And we are live. There was a lousy clap, by the way.
It was. I'll leave it in the episode so everybody can hear how weak it was.
That was weak.
But we can blame it on. We'll blame it on the weather. This will be out a few weeks after we record it, but currently it is -5 degrees. And I'm freezing. I don't know about you.
That's Fahrenheit. We'll talk to our guest. He's in Canada, so we'll talk about that. But it's warm. It's warmer in Canada right now than in Chicago. This is ridiculous. You know,
it's terrible.
Yeah, it's terrible. First of all, thanks for the coffee.
Oh yeah, no problem.
I was kind of cranky about this.
You were.
Yeah,
I noticed.
I went to get my coffee and they gave me iced coffee.
Iced coffee.
I don't know why somebody
was it just sitting in the window for 10 minutes and it turned to ice?
No. It was half a cup. Like it was ice. I don't understand it. It's freaking so cold and never mind. I don't want to be venting about this, but
it was a vente. Is that what you said?
No. Jesus, Gary, what is this shootout today?
Now stop. You got your warm coffee now. It's in your mug. So why don't we get started?
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Let's do it.
Thomas, how are you?
I'm great. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, we're doing well.
Thanks for being cold.
Thanks for being here. I took a moment and I converted Fahrenheit into Celsius, and it's like -20 here.
Wow.
I know. And then I've
never felt this cold.
And I looked up what's the temperatures in Vancouver, and you were like 36 or somewhere around there.
Actually,
36 Fahrenheit, and that I don't know.
Okay.
Now. Hold on. See, I'm messing with.
Now we're doing math on the show.
Now we're doing math on the show.
But you grew up in Poland. You should know this.
Yeah,
you should know
maybe
this right off the top of your head.
2-3 degrees Celsius.
Okay.
2-3. Yeah, that's what it says. Yeah,
2-3.
Yeah. So we are like -20.
It's
Wow.
no fun.
It's ridiculous.
Fun. I'm gonna need new toes by the end of the night.
Oh,
so
new toes, new fingers. My dog didn't want to pee this morning. I
blame him.
I took him outside, and he was like leak and back.
Yeah.
He didn't even want to think about
if I had to pee outside, the floor would be wet inside the house. I can tell you that. No way. No way.
But anyhow. Listen, we hear that you have great news to share. You just became a father. Congratulations on that. That's huge. First of all, how old is when did this happen? Just a couple days ago?
Which day is today?
Spoken like a new father. Yeah. Today is Wednesday.
Wednesday. So, it's been 1 week.
One week. Well,
1 week.
congratulations.
Congratulations.
Are you-
Beautiful.
Are you getting any sleep whatsoever? Or,
Here and there,
Yeah, here and
like
there.
she's a very sweet girl.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying my best.
Well, congratulations again. Fatherhood is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I'm sure you will enjoy it all as everything moves on in the future. Let's talk about how did jiu-jitsu start for you? I know there's interesting story, in your life as it started. How old were you when you stepped on the mat for the first time?
Well, the first time I stepped in a jiu-jitsu mat in a jiu-jitsu academy, I was 16.
16.
But my life in with martial arts started way before, because I was always towards martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
Like I started in karate, and then I moved to capoeira. As a good Brazilian, we have to do a little bit of capoeira. And later on, I did judo, and that's when I fell in love with the martial arts. Even though karate and capoeira were amazing, I think there was something in judo that triggered me, and was like the respect that I got from my sensei, all the learnings, the discipline, and that atmosphere, that touched me, So even though I wasn't a high level judo player, I just did it for fun. I was like, I think 13. That was part of me, even though I choose, even if I choose a different way, a different path, martial art would stick with me forever because of those judo classes.
Do you think that this martial art between karate, capoeira to judo, is that something typical that was going on in Brazil? We have a lot of guests that we've talked about, and a lot of them talk about either striking arts or judo particularly, and then they convert or transition into jiu-jitsu. Do you know a lot of friends or people, your age, your generation, who've gone through a similar experience?
Yeah. Maybe one of the reasons is that in my time, there was no jiu-jitsu classes for kids, and jiu-jitsu didn't have a very good reputation in Brazil, but judo had a great reputation, capoeira, so maybe it was because of that. But yeah, go ahead.
Is it because jiu-jitsu was known as a fighting, as a vale tudo, as a fighting style? Why do you think that was happening?
I don't know. We have a huge Japanese community in Brazil, and the judo is the judo is a very strong part of Brazil. We have a very strong judo in Brazil, So I think and jiu-jitsu was growing. Jiu-jitsu almost died, right? If it wasn't for the Brazilians, the Gracie family, we wouldn't be here today, right? So I think jiu-jitsu was something new, and they were like building the art again, developing techniques, and as you can see, the sport, the art today is huge, but I think it was growing. It was growing as judo was established already, So I didn't know jiu-jitsu when I was 10, 12. I didn't know jiu-jitsu, but I knew judo, I knew capoeira, I knew karate, So I think jiu-jitsu nowadays, it reach, I don't know, like more people, everyone knows jiu-jitsu nowadays.
Well,
right?
Isn't that interesting that, 20 or 30 years ago, jiu-jitsu was almost non-existent. I mean, it was compared to what it is today, it was extremely small. And then judo was one of the biggest sports. I mean, even today, I think is known as one of the biggest sports in the world. And then today, kind of things are tipping over. The striking arts are kind of, I wouldn't say shrinking, but they definitely have a smaller footprint. And then jiu-jitsu continuously gets bigger and bigger, and it gets more interest, and obviously thanks to UFC, MMA, and all the other things. But even traditional jiu-jitsu is it's expanding.
Yeah. You're totally right. I believe it because if you think about rules, sorry, when you take someone down in judo, the fight is over, right? In jiu-jitsu, no. We keep going. You want to see who is the best fighter all the way, or on the ground as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you take someone down means nothing, and I think that's beautiful, right? Because that makes people smaller like me have a chance with bigger guys, and that's what Helio Gracie developed, the guard, right? It was really hard for him to take someone down. He was a small guy, but with his back on the floor, he was just as strong as someone big and strong, So that's why jiu-jitsu is so beautiful, like there's so much techniques that makes us, even though you're small or you're weak, makes you stronger.
Do you think that your experience with judo as a teenager or even a boy helped you with jiu-jitsu when you started at age of 16?
Yes and no. I saw that my fundamentals in terms of know how to do a break fall, how to do a takedown were good, better than the jiu-jitsu guys, because that's a weak point in jiu-jitsu. Our takedown game is very weak. All right, because you see nowadays, right? Like you start a fight, you don't even grab the gi, and you have a back on the floor already. So I think that happens, right? We have the rules, and that's part of the art. Every art there's its pros and cons. But I remember when I took someone down, I was holding their head, and that in jiu-jitsu is not good, because they can get the underhook and go to your back. Mm-hmm. And in judo, if I hold that guy for a few seconds, I won't. Mm-hmm. So that was good and bad, but in the end, I think it was good.
So what was your confidence like walking into jiu-jitsu, having judo, having some groundwork? Was your confidence level high, and then all of a sudden you were shocked and your eyes were opened up, or were you like or did you already know a little bit going into it that once it got to the ground, you had your work cut out for you?
No, my jiu-jitsu, my ground game was almost zero. I just know how to hold someone's head and try to hold them for stay there for the time needed. Uh-huh. When I started jiu-jitsu, I fell in love with that, because as I said, I'm a small person, right? And with judo, I never felt that type of confidence that I got in jiu-jitsu, where I could fight anyone. Even like 1 month after starting jiu-jitsu, I had so much confidence that I never had before. So much. It's even dangerous, I think you have to manage your confidence, because the techniques are true weapons. You can break someone's arm. You can choke someone unconscious, So jiu-jitsu was different. And that freedom that I can go to the ground, I can pull guard, I can take someone down. When someone holds me on the ground, it's not over yet. That was a new word for me, and I was in love. And I knew I would do that forever.
Are you thinking, you're 16 or 17, you're starting first year, are you thinking that you can really do this forever? Are you thinking that, I'm going to be in my 30s, and I'm going to be teaching? Like, where's your mind?
My mind changed on the process, right? Because why I started the jiu-jitsu? I started because I wanted to defend myself. Mm-hmm. I wanted to know self-defense. In school, I wasn't trying to defend myself because I was being bullied. I used to bully people.
Oh, the truth comes out now.
Look at that, right? He's hiding behind that.
I wasn't a nice kid, man.
No,
not at all. But as I said, I was never like a very big, So I had, and people, if you're big, you can bully people. Nobody will touch you, right? Mm-hmm. But when you're small, man, you're ready, So the thing is, when I started, as I said, 1 month after, I fell in love, and then because when I stopped judo, I stayed a few years without doing any martial art. I was just playing football, soccer, mm-hmm. and doing skateboarding, stuff like that. But when I came back to jiu-jitsu, and I always wanted to do jiu-jitsu, the martial art thing trigger within me, and I was trying to, I was slowing, becoming a better person, and have a better view of things. I'm not saying that I'm perfect, please don't understand me, understand me wrong, but that was helping me to become better, and that was a fact.
So what triggered you? What was this one thing that got you on the mat? Was it your friends, your parents, or, like we all have this, we want to learn self-defense. We want to know jiu-jitsu. We want to, but there's always something that gets us to the academy for the very first time. What was it for you?
I remember to watch a Ronaldo Jacaré fight against Pé de Chumbo, on the TV. I was watching, and he did a Soinagi, so I understood Soinagi, right? And he took him down, and he kept going, and I don't remember how he finished the fight, and that was wow, So that triggered me, And then I started to search more about jiu-jitsu, and people, my friends used to tell me, if someone from jiu-jitsu grabs you, you're done. And I was, wow, I want to learn that, I really do, because I never liked striking, like I think box is beautiful, but I never wanted to do boxing or Muay Thai. I think the grappling was more interesting to me, and and when I went there, and I learned a Kimura, I learned a real neck choke, and stuff like that, and I was trying with my brother, I was trying with my friends, and it was working. I was, man, that's it.
Was your brother older, or is he older or younger?
He's younger. He's a black belt as well. And he didn't want to train, but I was very annoyed because he has my size, and, I was trying. So I was so in love with the jiu-jitsu. I wanted someone to train with me all the time. So I was pushing him, and he was, no, man, no, back off. No. and I told him, hey, I promise you, if you do 1 month and you don't like, I stop bugging you. And, all right, let's go. So he did 1 month, and after 1 month, I asked him, hey, are you continuing? What are you going to do? And I didn't like, but I will continue. He was very proud, but he loved.
That sounds like my story.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of people's
He loved. He became a world champion, a purple belt world champion. He's a black belt under Fabio as well. He has a gym in Brazil, in São José dos Campos. That's that's great. Yeah.
Isn't it interesting how, and now since you lead your academy and you teach adults and you have the kids, isn't it interesting how a lot of times people are hesitant to step on the mat? They have fears, they are concerned, and then once they do, majority are just hooked. It's so hard to step back. Once we overcome this first fear of touching people, somebody being on top of us, these compromised situations, then everything just changes. Don't you think?
Yeah. And you're right. It's really hard to see someone overcoming their fears and go to a jiu-jitsu academy. It's not easy. That's why when someone steps on your academy, you must keep them there, because it wasn't easy for them. So you have to help them to stick with it. Like the person is needing something. They need something, and they're looking for jiu-jitsu, and the solution is right there. You just needed to help them.
Yeah, I often say to visitors who come in to my academy, I often say, you did the hardest thing. The hardest thing is behind you. You step through that door right there, right?
Yeah.
Now things get easier. You just got to stick through it. You got to one step at a time, one day at a time, small changes, right?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Do you think jiu-jitsu is hard? Do you think it's difficult?
I think it's fun. Hard, that depends, it depends on what you want. You want to be a black belt world champion like Cobrinha, Marcelo Garcia, man, good luck. It's very, very hard, But if you want to, improve yourself, get better, then it's fun. It's not hard, but you have to, of course, you have to overcome some obstacles during the way, because it's not easy for some people to get smashed and come back the next day, especially when jiu-jitsu is your hobby, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I like to think that when you have a bad day on the mats and you're coming back home like a little bit sad, man, think about like who you are now. You're a fighter, man. And you must be a fighter on the good and on the bad. When being a fighter when things are good, it's easy, but being a fighter when goods are bad, that's a real fighder.
Tell me what you mean by being fighter and things are not good. What does that mean to you?
Well, I think a jiu-jitsu fighter must be complete. All right. And I try my best to, in bad situations, be just as good as I was in good situations. What I mean about that, when I'm struggling, when I've been, I don't know, like someone on top of me, I try to be calm. I try to think, man, I will escape from here and I'll finish this guy. So my mind is always on the positive side, but I'm realistic. I try to be, I've never, like being desperate. I've never, I try to understand any position jiu-jitsu, like I'm getting smashed with the shoulder on my neck. Like I try to calm down and believe on the technique, because if I have to put all my effort in something, that must make sense. I don't want to, spend all my energy on my strength. If I have to die, I'll die trying the proper technique.
But that's hard. I mean, that's super hard, especially for somebody who's just starting. It's their first week, first month, even first year. If you're on the bottom and somebody's smashing you, putting pressure down, you stay calm and try to really think about it.
Yeah.
They're not staying calm and they're not thinking about it.
Yeah.
Right? It's the adrenaline, the anxiety, and we just want to get me out of there.
And you have to do that because, it's part of the process. Mm-hmm. How you learn first, man, do the wrong thing just to see what will happen. Nothing, just frustration. All right. So someone smashing you and that's your first classes, nothing will happen and you see. So slowly you start building your technique, and when I mean technique is not only the movement, it's everything around that. Is your opponent's reaction. You have to feel your opponent. But how are you gonna feel your opponent if you cannot even feel yourself? And how you feel yourself? By being calm, by thinking clearly, But it's a process because sometimes we look for one answer and there's no one answer in jiu-jitsu. How you become a better fighter? You've got to become stronger. Yeah, sure. But it's not only that, you have to become more technical. But not only that, you have to have good mobility and good cardio, So you need so many things to become a better fighter. So we can't think that we need only one thing. Sometimes we need something more than others, but we need everything like in balance. For me to become a better fighter, I needed to eat clean. I needed to go to the gym. I needed to stretch. I needed to study jiu-jitsu. I needed to put myself in bad positions. That's why I really enjoy specific trainings, for example. Because if in my class I have nobody like on my level, there's my chance to put myself in bad situations, because if I do a regular training, nobody put me in bad situation unless I let them, So it's lots of things, and that's why we have to focus on the process, on the journey, and not like, I need to one. No, it's a process. Otherwise you would like stop training jiu-jitsu in 5 years, in 10 years, and we got to a point where we have to relearn what we think we know. We learn like a choke from the mount, right? It's basic, but try a choke from the mount in anyone. It's not easy, So we have to, you learn that, but for you to master that, you have to practice that over and over and over again, Sometimes you think that a rear neck choke, a city belt is something basic. It is, but there's so much details on that that you're just able to apply if you practice over and over and over again. We've got to try to focus on the little things. Those little things are magic, you know.
And I mean, Gary and I, we talked about this all the time. It's, you know, the longer you study jiu-jitsu, that it seems like there's more you need to learn on the top of that, everything that you've learned already. And it's like you are in jiu-jitsu journey for, let's say you've been doing it for a month or 2 or 6 months, and it seems like there's so much ahead of us. We feel overwhelmed with the amount of information. Yeah. And then you take somebody else who's been training for, let's say, a decade. They are black belt, and they are still working on literally same techniques. They are just refining them, redefining balance, weight distribution, mechanics, trying to understand all the scenarios.
How many times have we said, "Oh, I wish somebody would have told me that years ago, or shown me that years ago"? Or you see something simple like a cross choke from mount, and you see a new detail in it, or whoever's showing it that day. Mm-hmm. You know, sometimes you'll go to a seminar from some really like super high level person, and somebody will leave going, "Oh, all he showed us was cross chokes from mount." I'm like, no, but what did you learn? You weren't learning today. You weren't diving in today and picking up all those little things. And I, you know, what you were saying earlier about jiu-jitsu being fun. Do you think it's so much fun because it's kind of in a way like I was thinking like a puzzle, you know? So once you learn to be calm under that pressure in those situations, it's like, okay, now I've got to figure out this puzzle. I've got to figure out their body, where it's at, where's mine is at. How do I get from A to B and all that. And is that puzzle aspect of it what made it so much fun for you, or was it just the physical aspect?
Was the technical aspect for sure. Was the technical aspect, because we have an answer for everything.
Yeah.
All right. But you needed to work harder to find the answer, right?
Yeah.
And leverage technique that becomes unbeatable. You know, when you find them, you know, that's when like a small guy can beat a bigger guy, right? So I think that learning new things and improve the things you know makes jiu-jitsu amazing. But if you stop searching for new techniques and stop trying to improve what you know, then you're not gonna, you know, stay here. You go downhill, you know, because life is movement. There's no, you know, stability. You know, you're always moving here to there, up and down, you know. So that's why I try to, you know what, like when I'm training and I'm not trying to improve, I don't like jiu-jitsu. You know, I don't know how you guys feel, but when I'm at the gym and I'm showing something, I'm not trying to see anything new, I'm just wasting my time, you know. And I realized that every time that I'm on the gym and I try to become better, you know, jiu-jitsu is fun. And, you know, so I think they're connected. In order for you to have fun in jiu-jitsu, you have to look to improve. If you don't look to improve, you're not going to have fun.
Is that, is that what you tell your students? Continuously improve, find something to learn, seek new answers, be hungry for it.
Yeah, I say work hard and have fun. You know, work hard. But if you just work hard, what's the point? If you just have fun, all right, and you're not trying to improve, you know, I don't know, do other thing, man. Go watch TV. You know, no. That's why when I'm rolling, I don't like to speak. You know, and I tell my students, don't talk when you're rolling. Talk after. You know, talk after, because I think when you're rolling, we have to be in the moment. You know, we have to, you know, be committed. And I think in jiu-jitsu, the feeling is so important. I needed to feel when my opponent is ready to push me, and when he started. You know, I cannot. It's not like a robot. You know, it's a fight. It's not exactly science, right? Some days you're feeling better, other days you're feeling more tired, and you need to feel your opponent's condition to, you know, move forward or to take a break, to feel how he's breathing. You know, that's why you have to be on the moment, involved. You know, and if you talk, if you you can't. Nobody can.
Distractions, essentially.
Just exactly.
Do you think there is one perfect technique in jiu-jitsu? Is there such a thing?
All techniques are perfect.
Oh, I didn't see that coming. Okay.
We make mistakes.
Nice. Great
We make
answer.
no mistakes.
I love it. I love it. I've never heard that before. That's awesome.
That's a good one.
Techniques are
That's a good one.
perfect.
Perfect.
We have. I think Jigoro Kano said that once, and Hicks and Grace also said that once. Not with those words, but this idea: all techniques are perfect, but we as human beings, we make mistakes.
We often say like jiu-jitsu is easy. People make it complicated. And I think that's kind of on the same level, right? The technique is easy. It's perfect. But whatever we're doing within it is what makes it not so perfect, or we're making mistakes, or we're changing
Exactly.
it up. So,
and when our ego gets on the way, that's a big problem, man. Like I was telling my student a few weeks ago that I used to think back in the days that I was the best in crucifix, and my ego was so inflated that I was saying what was good or bad, what was right and wrong. Man, a few years later, not all things, but many things that I was judging wrong became right. But they were always right. I wasn't in that level yet. My ego was not me.
And isn't that interesting about jiu-jitsu, especially when we talk about techniques or concepts, where you hear some instructors talk about this is a wrong thing to do. You don't do this, do this way. And then you can watch tournaments or you can watch competition. And then what was defined as incorrect is being actually done and it's successful, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like often that adaptation or us figuring out not what's right or wrong, but how can we use it to our advantage is really what brings us success.
Yeah. I try to, when my student asks, Thomas, do you always, I always try to take the always off my answer because we change, so try to don't say, I always do this, I always do that. Man, you cannot always, it's a long time. It's a long time.
Are they coming after you? What's going on over there?
Oh, it's the ambulance. Sorry, guys.
No, it's fine.
Ambulance, baby crying. Sorry for the spectators.
That's life.
I thought they were coming after you or something.
No, I'm a good guy.
You talked about ego a minute ago and like your ego and the crucifix. But I feel like ego also, everybody talks about it like they're tough or they're chest thumping, but ego also has the flip side where you're self-conscious, you're afraid. And I think, seeing people on the mat for the first few times and trying to work them through that. How do you as an instructor do that for people? We talked a little bit ago about people being nervous. That first step on the mat is so hard.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get people to come out of that, to boost their ego in a way?
It's a hard thing to do because everyone's different, So I try to treat everyone equally. When I'm teaching, I try to see what the person needs. Some people like a little bit of confidence. Other people are too much confident, and I try to, find a balance and help them, but it's not easy because everyone's different and they have different goals, So as a teacher, I just try to, not talk too much and show with actions, what I mean, like being humble, like I see, I don't know, like in Brazil, we have this thing, like if you enter in a room, you have to shake everyone's hand. And that when I arrived in Canada, I didn't see that happening, I don't know how it's in Chicago, I'm not saying that Brazilians are right or, no, but I like that. And I started like shaking everyone's hand every day, not for 1 week, but for years and years. And now when I see like everyone shakes everyone's hand, so I think your actions speak louder than your words. And I think when you help one student and you're nice with that student will help the other, because you cannot do things by your own. You need others, you need others all the time, right? We are here because of other people helped us. And I think that creates a good atmosphere, and we have people, nice people around, people who wants to improve, or people who are really good who wants to help others. And people who, like have their egos really high, or they're not nice people, they don't stick, they leave. I try to help those people, but some of them, they don't want to help, so
that's the thing. You can't help everybody, right? You can only help people who are willing to be helped.
Well, right now I can't even help myself with a baby, with
yeah, there's that. Wait, when she grows up, it's gonna be more interesting. So you go through this journey. You start at 16. You go through this journey. Life is beautiful. You find a lot of success along the way, purple, brown belt, and so on. And you are under watchful eye, or in front of this leadership of the general, right, Fabio Gurgel. You have a lot of wisdom that's getting passed on to you. Do you see that? And by the way, we had him on the show in July, so it's been several months, but it was such an interesting conversation with him. He said one thing that really stuck with me, and I'm curious what you think about this. He said, "Be hard on yourself, but be gentle on others."
To others.
Mm-hmm. Is that something that he often passes on?
No. Well, Fabio, man, it's hard to talk about Fabio because he's such a role model for me, And I remember, like the trainings where he was pushing me so hard, so he wasn't gentle with me, But Fabio is the best, man. He's a true samurai. If you think about his career, he fought Mark Kerman in that fight where many would quit, and he was there, So that the loss was a victory for him and his students, and I'm included. I'm really proud to be his student, and I tried my best to replicate what he taught me. So yeah, Fabio he's tough with people sometimes, but because he wants to make people better, So I know him, and I know how sweet he can be as well. He's the general, but he's also,
well, I think in our conversation, in our conversation with him, he talked about how he learned over the years who he needed to be tough with, and the people he shouldn't be quite so tough with, and find that balance. Where early in his career as an instructor, it was the same for everybody. It was like a sink or swim. I'm going to be hard on everybody, and the people that can handle it will rise to the top. Where all those other people were just falling by the wayside, and he realized that he needed to bring those people along too. So he had to change himself. What was it like the first time you met him? Because for me, just what I know about him and what I've seen in videos, and then having him on the show, I would have been probably, especially as a younger person, terrified. I would have been like, "Oh my God, he's so imposing."
He is. Yeah, he is. Well, first, I think jiu-jitsu is for everyone, but not everything in jiu-jitsu is for every person. Mm-hmm. Not everyone is ready to compete. But you can do jiu-jitsu for a whole life. Why not? Not every person is willing to train hard every day, but you can go to the academy 2 times a week and got the benefits from it. So we have to understand that everyone is different, and because everyone is different, we needed to understand how to give jiu-jitsu to them. That's why we needed to have separate classes. Everyone has different goals, right? I have many students who they don't even want to think about competition. They're no, I don't want, but they want to train hard every day. So we have to understand that everyone's different, and you need to give that service for the proper service for each one. And about Fabio, I was in Ubatuba. Ubatuba is one of my favorite cities in the whole world. I was there eating a hamburger. I was young, and I remember to be seated and I was eating, and I saw like a Vale Tudo fight on the TV, a small TV, and I was watching with my friends. I was, man, that guy is a water man. Look at that, and that was Fabio fighting against Marquez, and that's pretty cool to know that guy became my master.
When was the first time you met him?
I was blue belt. No, I saw him when I was white belt. I did a Copa Alliance Cup in São Paulo. But I didn't talk to him. I didn't know him. I started jiu-jitsu with one of his black belts, Alex Monsalve, and then I made the transition a few years later. But I remember one day I went to São Paulo, and it was a Saturday, and he asked me like, "Oh, what's your name?" I said Thomas, So I did the class, and they came back next week, and man, the class was busy, believe me. And I was just a kid from the interior, I came back and, "Hey, Thomas, how are you doing?" And I was, wow, that guy remembers my name. There's so many people around him. I'm not even his student, and he remembered my name. So the thing stick with me. Yeah.
What do you think was the biggest impact that he's made on you? Is there one lesson that you learned from him? If you had to really narrow it down to just one thing, the biggest thing for you.
One thing, impossible. Impossible. He teaching me how to teach.
Is teaching hard?
Sorry?
Is teaching hard?
Depend of the class. A regular class, no. And the way he teaches, he uses few words and he got everything. That's one thing that I like. I don't like to explain technique for several minutes. If I can, I try, but not like him. He's different. He can explain technique, and in 2 minutes you got it. So he understands what matters, and he pass on. But his competition class was very hard, man. I don't miss it.
I can only imagine. If we fast forward this to the point of you getting your black belt, that's often seen by many as a big moment in our life. I think we all remember where we were, how it was coming, what happened, the feelings that we had during that time. Were you ready for it?
Oh yeah, more than ready.
Did you know it was coming?
I imagine.
Yeah.
I had just won the worlds as a brown belt South American. I was winning basically all tournaments, so I was, yeah.
Walk us through that moment. What was going through your mind? What were your feelings? Where was it? How did it happen?
Was December 15th. I got my black belt with 3 other friends. I was the last one. I'm the 6th one, promoted by the general. And I don't remember his words, but I remember that made me feel good, and that made me feel that I deserve it, And he was proud and I was proud because, and we must be, I tell my students that, like sometimes we get a blue belt and we think, oh, it's just a blue belt. It's not that hard. It is hard. Look around and see how many people who started with you are not with you anymore. So we must be proud.
Isn't that interesting that when you look at, even like when I look around, just even think about the people that I started with and how many of them are still training. I mean, it's only a handful. It's not that many people. Isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
After 10 or 20 years or even more, individuals like General, I mean, he's been on the mat for freaking decades at this point, right? How many people give up and due to different circumstances, but they still stop. And then yet there's this handful of people who really go to the black belt and then beyond.
No, you're right. It's like everything, right? When you start something, it's easy in the beginning, right? It's easy. To start learning English, in the beginning was easy. You're picking words here and there, but then when things start getting harder, that's when you either quit or you keep going. And when we talk about when we think about jiu-jitsu, that's why we have to be proud of every achievement that we made. And when Fabio awarded me with the black belt, I was really happy, not because of me, but because of other people, people who believed on me, people who didn't let me give up, because alone it's hard. I know a few people who can go by themselves, alone, but not me. I needed other people to help me. And Fabio was one of them, of course, but my family, my friends, my girlfriend. And that made the moment even more special, because I was happy for me and other people, because I knew the other people was counting on me, and I made it.
Who helped you specifically? Do you have one or two individuals without whom you would have never made it? Your mom?
My mom, 100% or more.
Talk about your mom, because I know your mom played a significant role throughout your childhood and how athletic you were, and then through your jiu-jitsu and so on. What was it that she's done that was so powerful for you to continue?
Talk about my mom, it's always a little bit difficult, because she was not my biggest inspiration. She was my best friend. She was the toughest person I've known. I used to go to tournaments, and she used to go with me, and she used to get mad when I lost. She used to, how did you lose? But I never got upset, because 5 minutes later she was telling how much she loved me. She was proud, But the competition was part of her, But she was very courageous, and I remember in her last days, I lost my mom like a few years ago. But even when her problem was like in a very in a very high stage, she was. I remember to have her in one of my fights in São Paulo. She was coaching me crazy. She was on the other side of the stadium, like saying, "Go, Thomas! Don't give up! Kill him!" She was crazy, man, and no hair. And she was like, and the other weekend, and other weekends, we were like going, like we were skateboarding, and she was going downhill fast, no helmets, and
That's great.
So she wasn't like a normal mom. She was different, she was, I remember to watch UFC, and she was like always supporting the Brazilian fighters, and we used to like slap each other a little bit, so it was very, very fun to have my mom as a mom. And yeah, she's still my best friend, within me, I try to get everything that she taught me, and yeah.
Was she there when you were rewarded with your black belt?
No, she wasn't.
What was her response when you?
My brother and my girlfriend was there. They were there.
What was her response when she found?
Man, I don't remember, to be honest, but I remember one thing, because she supported me a lot, and in my time, when I told my parents that I wanted to make a living of jiu-jitsu, my father was a little bit afraid, because who could live from jiu-jitsu on that time? Very few people, very few. My mom, on the other hand, she was all in. So even in moments where I was thinking to quit, she was, man, if you quit, you're quitting for you and for me. Because many people told her that she was spoiling me, that I would become that I would have become like uh, uh, I don't know like how to say that, but a responsible person, you know. So she didn't care, and she helped me. And when I remember when I won my first words as a purple belt, that made her so happy, so happy. And that was she told me like, man, from all your moments in jiu-jitsu, that was my special one, the most special one for me. That's what he told me. So that title is my most important because that was her most important.
What a beautiful story. What a beautiful memories.
It's bringing back a lot for me and my mom too. So that's wonderful.
Listen, you had also, in addition to all of this, as you're going through your career, competition, and so on, you have this unique opportunity to train and learn from Marcelo Garcia.
Yeah. I'm so lucky.
I know. Well, I want to pick your brain on this because, I mean, many consider Marcelo as the best of all times, right? Despite his size, you know, he was really doing things that nobody has ever done. And even to this day, you know, some of the things that he's accomplished in the past, and, you know, they haven't been achieved. And it, you know, what was it like? You going from the general to Marcelo? You know, I mean, there's only a handful of people in the world who are lucky to have these opportunities.
Yeah.
And you're one of them.
Crazy, huh? Marcelo changed my life. It changed my life. It changed my view of jiu-jitsu. You know, everything that I learned from Fabio, he helped me to see even more things because they have different games. So everything that I learned from Fabio and everything that I learned from Marcelo, you know, and other people, of course, but that changed my game, my view of jiu-jitsu and so on. I remember that my game was a little bit different before I met Marcelo, you know, and I was in shock of how good he was. And I told him, Marcelo, I want to have your game. Can you help me? Every day after class, he used to spend a few minutes showing me something, you know, for 6-7 months. That was the time, the amount of time that I stayed there. Mm-hmm. And that made sense, you know. So it's even harder to explain, but he's a genius, you know, and I'm just glad that I could learn the magic of his techniques, you know. So nowadays, when I'm teaching, I teach either something from that's part of Fabio's game or part of Marcelo's games, you know. And when I stopped to think, man, that became my jiu-jitsu, you know, because I learned from the best, and those techniques will go anywhere. They're mine as well, you know. So yeah, it's even that's what I tell Marcelo. You know, you changed my life, and I'm forever grateful.
What was the one thing that he changed? What was the one thing that really was different prior to that training in New York, and after you departed from there? What was the biggest change you've noticed?
Well, I learned so much. I learned crucifix there. My baby's, you guys are hearing me, my baby?
Yeah, I can't hear it.
No, we can't hear it.
No, man.
You're faking it. She's not crying. She's fine.
Marcelo showed me crucifix. He showed me X guard. He showed me single leg X, especially single leg X, guillotines. You know, like I didn't practice Nogi before. You know, so it's just a gi guy. You know, and there you have to train both. You know, so I learned so much. You know, and I discovered that jiu-jitsu it's endless. You know, so we can improve gi, no gi. You know, and there's so much techniques that we can learn, you know, and yeah, it's just so much.
Do you think everybody should train gi and no gi?
Yeah. You could train a little bit more one or other, but I think it's all jiu-jitsu, and that's what Fabio told me, because I told him like before I go, I was Fabio, I'm a little bit afraid because they train a lot of no gi there. And I want to be a good in gi. And he told me, Thomas, it's all jiu-jitsu. You know, and I was okay, I got it. And when I got there, That was true. That's all jiu-jitsu, man. You learn so much. And I remember to compete the Brazilian nationals after I met Marcelo, after I come back, I finished with a guillotine, elbow high guillotine, with the gi, and crucifix going all the way, So I was applying, I was having the same game on both, I wasn't relying on my grip so much, so the no-gi game for sure helped my gi game.
Phenomenal.
That's great, because a lot of people think the opposite, right? I think there's a big debate now. It's like, we've had people on who are saying that they think that the gi is going to die, that it's going to be gone.
You think gi is going to die?
No, never. Things change, right? Things always change, like UFC was in the hype like a few years ago. Now it's a little bit here and then come back up here. It's life, right? Right now, what I see is like we don't have a Roger Gracie versus Jacare, a Cobrinha versus Rafael Mendes, a Bernardo Faria versus Alendro Lo. You know what I mean? And I think there's two things that it's bad for jiu-jitsu. One are the rules, but you know what? It's hard because the athletes always find a way to beat the rules. You change the rule here, the athletes do something there. So that will always happen in anything. If you do a no rule, all right, a no points, but 30 minutes, and you win because you have more attempts, submission attempts, there's rules, right? So if you pass my guard, if you mount on me, if you take my back and I escape and I try foot lock, I'm gonna win, But let's be honest, you beat the shit out of me. Why should I win?
Well, and would you agree with the fact if the rules were more relaxed, so there was no rules, less people who don't do jiu-jitsu for living, less people would do tournaments? Wouldn't you agree with that? Like, I mean, average Joe Schmo who is a lawyer or police officer and so on, would they enter in a tournament with no rules?
No.
No,
I don't think so.
They would get hurt, right? I mean, their jobs don't allow them to do it professionally, right? And I think as much people complain about the rules, and I know exactly what you're saying. Jiu-jitsu sometimes might even be viewed as boring, right? Because of the rules. Right?
I'll be honest with you. I think, sorry guys for the ambulance again, but jiu-jitsu is boring. Mm-hmm. It is, I like to do jiu-jitsu, to watch some fights. Yeah, to be honest with you. But I know that like other tournaments, they're trying to make the fight shorter, 5 minutes. But man, I don't like that because it takes time for you to take someone down. It takes time for you to pass someone's guard. Sometimes you need to take your time. You need to breathe, let the opponent struggle a little bit to boom, go to the next position, in 5 minutes, who can do that, especially at a high level, so to preserve the art in its essence, I think jiu-jitsu should be 10 minutes fights at the least, the perfect rule, there is a perfect rule. The perfect rule is no time. All right. No time. Then we're going to see who's the better because who wins, who finished the other. And that can become 3 hours, 4 hours fight like Helio Gracie in the past. But that's not possible nowadays.
Yeah. Do you think that's why organizations like ADCC or, some of the professional fight events are so successful? Because one, they are longer, the rules are a little bit more relaxed, and it's a little bit more entertaining for somebody who's watching it.
Yeah, you might be right. And some people like Nogi more than gi, so doesn't matter the rules, they will watch Nogi fights.
Yeah. And in a way, I think Nogi is also more entertaining simply because it's more slippery. There's more motion, it's more dynamic, more physical in a way.
Mm-hmm. I think it depends on who's fighting.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah, there's nothing more beautiful for me to see someone take someone down, pass the guard, side control to mount, and choke from the mouth. Oh. There's nothing more beautiful. You can show me a huge scramble without gi, I'll pick the other one.
Yeah, no, you mentioned Roger Gracie moments ago. I missed those.
I
missed those days. That was, man, I could watch those over and over. That was
exactly.
Not to take away from anybody today, but the times were different,
That wasn't that long ago.
No, it wasn't.
And that's what I said. Like the fighters nowadays, they always find a way to beat the rules, And you get a warm guard, and if you don't try nothing, who's gonna pass your guard, And that's why it's so boring, But if you have a fighter who always fights forward, man, can be gi, no gi, gi and shorts, whatever, man. That'll be fun.
What an awesome conversation. Listen, before we wrap this up, we've been doing this for an hour. Before we wrap this up, end of each episode, we have this fun thing that we are doing. Whoever was sitting in your seat last time before you asked a question not knowing who's going to sit after them. So our previous guest asked a question. Gary has that right now. He's going to throw that at you, and let's see where this is going to go.
Yeah, we've touched on some of this a little bit already, I think, but I don't think we have the complete answer. So Felicia O was our last guest, and she wants to know, what are the biggest and best changes in your life that are due to jiu-jitsu?
Well, I think the biggest change was confidence. When I go back 17 years ago and I was learning the techniques, I felt so much confident that I was, man, everyone should do this, everyone. And at the same time that I was gaining confidence, I gained more self-control, So as I said in the beginning, when we learn a technique, when you're learning jiu-jitsu, there's not only one thing that we have to focus on, right? We have so much, and something in jiu-jitsu, we gain confidence, but then you have to be self-controlled, but then you have to be courageous, so, but confidence is the,
is that confidence? Is that confidence what stopped you from being a bully?
No, man. I don't know. I always like to make fun of people, man. Brazilians are terrible, man. And don't get me wrong. I used to make fun of people. People used to make fun of me. Mm-hmm. So it was like, back and forth, and it was just fun, like, it's part of our culture. And to be honest, I love it.
There's something about a good trash. What's it called when you guys sit around after? There's a word for it. When you sit around after. What's that?
Isaiah.
Yeah.
Isaiah.
So it's just sitting around afterwards talking trash, right?
Yeah.
But that's part of kind of jiu-jitsu culture, right? We train, we sit, we talk, we make fun of each other, we horse around a little bit, and that's part of that dynamic, right? Not everybody understands this, right? I think jiu-jitsu truly is one of the few sports or activities where we can come to a class, do a class for an hour, spar for half hour, and then talk for 2. Isn't it true?
Well, you know why? You know why, right?
Why is that? Well, tell me.
Brazil. Look, judo is Japanese culture, but Brazilians, man, Brazilians are very emotional. Yeah. We are, we talk, we laugh, we hug each other, we make fun of each other, we get mad with each other, but next day we're fine, so, that's why.
And that's the beautiful part behind all of this. Are you getting some sleep tonight?
Oh yeah, I slept a little bit, like 1 hour and a half.
Naps. You nap at the same time, right?
Nap at the same time.
You just dread that noise. You'll learn as time goes by.
Turn off.
No, I never turned off. It was like it's quiet, everything's good, and then you hear a noise, and you're like waiting for that second noise or that cry to start. You're just like, please God, no, and then either it gets quiet again or you're up. You're done.
Listen, would you trade it for anything?
For nothing in the world.
I would not trade it for nothing in the world. Nothing. So, once again, congratulations on your new arrival. Congratulations to you and your wife, and I know you're gonna have some beautiful stories as time goes on in the future. Thank you for being here. Where can people find you? If anybody wants to connect with you, ask you questions, or even visit your academy, where are you located? Where can find you? What's the easiest way to connect with you?
My Instagram is Thomas Lisboa JJ. I'm trying to be a bit more active this year. I'll try my best. I'm opening my school, my own academy in North Vancouver, probably in North Vancouver this year as well. Great. So I'll give you more information soon. And yeah, and I teach at Alliance Vancouver. Like it's amazing training there. We have trained out the whole day, so you guys can come and check it out at any time.
Wonderful.
Phenomenal. Thanks for hanging out with us last hour. Thanks for sharing your life story and all the wisdom that got passed on to you from others. We truly, truly appreciate your time and everything that you shared with us. Let's wrap this up for today.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. Take care.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you,
Congratulations.
Thomas. Thanks for having me. Thanks for everything. And all best of luck for you guys.
Thank you.
We'll
Thank you
see
so
you
much.
soon.
Peace.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to RŌL Radio. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave us a review and help us make the show even more amazing. For future episodes, check out our website and follow us on all major podcast platforms. Take care.